Hello, this is Bob Marilyn again. This is my fourth video concerning the November elections. Subject today is very relevant, is the Great Depression. And this started in 1929 in the United States, September. Stocks started their drop in September 4th of 1929, culminating in a stock market crash October 29th. 1929, also called Black Tuesday. Black Tuesday. Basically, the Depression lasted 6 to 10 years, depending on how you think getting out of it is measured. But at the height of the Great Depression, unemployment rose to 25% in the United States. It wasn't helped any by a great drought that hit the Midwest starting in the 1930s. Leading to the movie Grapes of Wrath, if you had the pleasure of seeing that with Fonda and the crew. But if there's a lot of opinions as to what caused the Great Depression and the recessions of the 30s. And I've studied a lot of them. There's dozens and dozens of theories, depending if you're Keynesian or whatever branch of economics you're from. But in my opinion, what I've gleaned from this is that it started with a couple of things happened. Number one, there was 12 years of Republican presidents prior to the crash. And actually the crash happened on Hoover's watch. But the same thing happened that's happening today. There was a migration of income to the very wealthy, and what this did is the wealthy accumulated a lot of the income from the United States. It took the money from the middle class people. Well, and this led to their inability to buy items. So there was a slowdown anyway, because the money wasn't there for the poor people or the middle class to purchase their automobiles and whatever they needed. So that kind of started this thing slowing down. There was also over-speculation in the stock market. Back then, because of the Republicans controlling the agenda for 12 years, there was a deregulation and a hands-off approach on Wall Street and the banks. What happened was people started investing in the stock market, and they were given a beautiful way to do it. They only need to come up with 10% of the money to invest in stocks. Well, everybody's getting rich on stocks, so let's jump in both feet. So people were taking all the money they get their hands on, putting it in the stock market and watching it climb. Well, this worked for a while, but when the crash occurred, the Wall Street starts calling back and saying, hey, we want the other 90% of that money because the stock's not worth anything now. So you owe us the 90%. And the people didn't have it. Some of them borrowed to pay it. Some gave their life savings to pay it. And this made everybody else nervous. So basically they went and got their money out of the bank. Well, 9,000 banks actually collapsed during this period. And that's really how I see it happening, was a lack of money for the middle class to get the volume spending cycle going. It just wasn't there. It was drying up, and then everybody lost what they had because of the stock market crash, or a lot of people. By the way, the people that made out great in the Depression were those that had, jobs that couldn't be taken away. Some of the teachers, for example, that they weren't making much money when it started, but because of the price drop, they did real well during the Depression. A lot of them bought land and things that you can get for 10 cents on a dollar or 5 cents on a dollar. Anyway, that's my view of what happened. Stock market crash, deregulation, no money for the middle class. How do we, like I mentioned, there was a 25% unemployment resulted from the Depression, and how did we get out of it? I mean, nothing really happened. Hoover didn't do anything to get us out of it. 1933, Roosevelt came in, Democrat. in the very first 99 days. It only took them 99 days to get a bill passed through Congress and signed. It's called the New Deal, and this was quite a thing. It loosened up the government purse strings to buy the people's way out of this Great Depression. Something had to be done. People were starving. They didn't have crutches like we have a few crutches today, but we're losing a lot of them. But back then there was nothing. There was soup lines. Well, one of the great benefits of this program was the TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, was established. Big project. You know, they dammed up rivers and built dams and generated electricity. And even today, because of the TVA, the lowest cost of electricity in the country, because of this huge government investment, is in the Tennessee Valley. Still useful today. Another project, CCC, they hired thousands and thousands of people to go into the national parks and beautify the country, made paths and bridges so people could go and see these wonders that are part of America. So were useful infrastructure projects, and that's not all they did, but basically, you know, those are a couple of the big nuts of the program. Of course, then World War II started to happen in the late 30s. You know, Europe was building up for a war. They saw it coming. You know, a bunch of hate. Hate was developing in Germany, the hate for everybody, and led to World War II. This helped the U.S. economy because we were supplying goods and materials to our allies long before we got into the war. So this really helped. As a matter of fact, before the war, there was although the spending that Roosevelt put in place got us out of the Great Depression, there's a lot of pressure on them to stop the spending, which they did, leading to another recession in 1937. So, you know, here it is, that stimulus. But just to sum it up real briefly, poor regulation on banks, poor regulation on Wall Street. Got out of it by spending our way out. I hate to do it, but that's what you got to do, because everybody talks about the national debt. Well, I'll tell you what, if people aren't working and paying taxes, your national debt is going to go up. There's no two ways about it. So at least they're working, and some of that money's coming back in income tax. So that's how they got out of it. Now, what's going on today? Well, today, you know, a lot of things I'm telling you sound familiar to what happened today in today's economy. Basically, starting in 1980 with this damn Reagan trickle-down pile of crap. Here's how it trickled down. It trickled up. In 1980, 2% of the American wealthiest people were getting 9% of the income. Well, because of this trickle down and other devices Republicans have put in place since then, Bush 2, Bush 1, Reagan, that top 2% now is accumulating 23% of the annual income of the United States. Now, that wouldn't be bad, except it's coming out of the middle class. You know, there's a lot of work going to China now that used to be done here. Well, that money come out of the middle class has killed the buying power. So the economy's not thriving. Everybody's unemployed. They're not buying a car. They're not buying appliances. So this accumulation of wealth by the wealthy is just taking this thing that keeps stirring the economy. It's taking it away from us. Now, Obama, well, let me back up. One of the things that started helping right away is Bush, to his credit, in his last year of office, signed the bailouts of Wall Street and the bank. That was done under Bush, although half the Americans think it was Obama that signed that. That was George Bush, and to his credit, he did do it. One of the bad things about it, no strings attached. There's billions upon billions of dollars going to the banks and Wall Street. No strings attached. Well, at least it got to them. We can whine all we want about how it was a gift. At least when Obama did it to General Motors, there was a payback and it saved jobs, and now that company's coming back. I'm wearing a GM hat because of it. I didn't work for GM, but God bless them. Obama's taking the right steps. That's my firm belief. He had to stimulate the economy. It's been almost 2 years, well, not even 2 years, but it's been getting close on to 2 years, another three months or so. But bear in mind, it took 6 to 8 years to get out of the Great Depression. And believe me, Roosevelt was not fighting a bunch of whiny, weaselly, money interest Republicans to get anything passed. Obama's had to do it with people at his throat, whining and calling him all kinds of names, doing whatever they can to stop him from succeeding. He has to succeed or we fail. That's the bottom line. His stimulus was exactly right. The only problem, it wasn't big enough. He had to get some votes from the few Republicans, and he did. It had to be watered down. But anyway, he did get it, and to his credit. So this is what it takes to get out of a recession. Now, people saying, oh, man, he's been in office. Well, the first year you can't do a damn thing. You might get some bills passed, but it takes time to take effect. And just give him some time, because he's absolutely on the right path. And give him some support in November. Get some of these guys that want him to fail so we can all fail. Get these guys out of there. Get the Democrats back in there. I can tell you this. 1 year in the last 50, the budget was balanced by a Republican and that was that was Bush 2 following Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton balanced the budget 3 times on his own. Republicans have done it once in 50 years. Clinton did it 3 times. So let's give Obama some support. Let's keep this House and keep this Senate Republican-led. That's the only thing that's going to get us out of this mess. I mean, you've heard the big debate going on now. Oh, the rich are going to raise their taxes. Well, no, they're not. They're going to give them the same taxes they were paying before a temporary tax increase was put through, or tax cut was put through. And these guys are making big bucks, and they're whining over a 4% increase. That tells you, hey, why don't you guys contribute a little bit, get this thing cycling again, okay? No, can't do it. Well, anyway, show them at the polls. Show them at the polls. Vote for these guys. Don't let Boehner and McConnell have their way and just stall everything that's going on. They don't care about you. They care about the 2% of the rich. And that's my opinion. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll have another video in a few days. Thank you. And good night.